the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
Hi, I'm Dr. Celeste Fralick, and this is the Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the lovely Dr. Celeste Fralick. She is our guest for today. And of course, my name is Joshua. I am your host. Today, every day, every episode, we ask you questions. And today's question is, how can AI be the sauce to achieving sustainable net zero future? What is a net zero future, right? And Dr. Celeste is the perfect guest to answer that question for us today. Dr. Celeste Fralick is a highly accomplished executive technical leader with over 4 decades of experience spanning industries such as AI, technology, and healthcare. She has been recognized as one of Ford's top 50 women in technology and holds 17 patents. My goodness. As
18.
manage 18 now. All right. Correction. Very important correction there. An update there, ladies and gentlemen. As managing partner and CDO of oh my goodness, Perkinjay and Perkinjay. All right, Perkinjay Science Technology. She leverages her expertise to drive innovation in sustainable energy and decarbonization. Dr. Fralick also serves on multiple boards and has contributed to significant advancements in AI and circulatory solutions. I am very excited about this episode. Dr. Celeste, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Celeste, this is quite you had a longer bio that you provided. This one doesn't quite do you justice, but I'm glad that we got to cover the 18 patents right now. A little update there on that one. Dr. Celeste, I want to get straight into it, but first, what was the young Dr. Celeste like? What's the young Celeste Fralick like? What did she ever thought she was going to get into sustainable energy, AI? What would the young Celeste say to the Celeste of today?
She would be very surprised. The young Celeste grew up in Alaska, and
Oh,
I was planning to be an English teacher. So this is very far from my childhood dreams and very
my
far from
goodness.
my childhood home.
Oh,
I'm in Texas.
oh wow. Oh, far. The
Far.
extremes. Very, very far. The extremes in weather as well, in everything. The culture, maybe also. But also, Celeste, what was that pivotal moment? When did you decide that this was the path you were going to take into, that you were going into, you went into science, sustainable energy, you went into, went on to get your, you know, put on that doctor next to your name. What was the journey like?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. It started out because I was hungry
Wow.
and I was working in a hospital
Hmm.
as Medtech, hoping to go to medical school. And I was never able to pass any of the tests that I should have. So
Wow.
I ended up begging Texas Instruments to hire me as a quality engineer, and they hired me. I had no idea what I was doing. And the first job they gave me was in statistical process control, SPC, and I had
Mhm.
no idea what that meant. And 44 years later, I reflect on my career and realize that I have spent the good amount of my career doing data. And
Oh,
as AI came into fruition, I had already spent about 13, maybe 12 years of that time
right.
uh, uh, thinking I'm going to finish my PhD, and
Hmm.
decided to focus on neural networks in
Wow. Okay.
biomedical engineering. And so
That is
my
fascinating.
PhD is actually fairly recent,
Hmm.
relatively speaking. I got it in
Hmm.
2013, and I just will be inducted into the
Oh my.
Engineering Hall of Fame
Oh
at
my
Arizona State
goodness.
University. So
Oh
I'm
my
excited.
goodness. Oh, that is
I
very
know, I know.
cool.
I'm excited about it. I'm thinking they must have really scraped the bottom of the barrel.
Let's not say it that way, Dr. Celeste. I am sure you are the brightest among them. But Dr. Celeste, I feel the excitement. I feel it must feel like the culmination of all your hard work, of all your life's work as well. But at the same time, Dr. Celeste, I feel like, you know, being inducted into the Hall of Fame is also a validation of your skill and everything that you have put together so far. Because to me, and literally my question was, how does your experience in healthcare and biomedical engineering, by the way, is how did that influence your approach in AI? I understand you worked on
Mhm.
data for a very long time, right? And data for those for our audience and listeners, we love discussing this topic. It has been AI has been around for a while. Is it has it not? Like it's just not at the forefront as we have right now, where GPT has put it, in front stage. But you've been working with AI for a very long time, AI driven solutions. So, how has your experience in healthcare and biomedical engineering influenced your approach for energy management and sustainability?
Well, that's a great question because I found that of all the markets that I've looked at from a data perspective,
Hmm.
healthcare, security, and energy have very similar data in
Hmm.
that they have very disparate sources and they can be brought together to have a very interesting business outcome.
Hmm. Oh,
Hopefully
interesting.
positive
Positive.
business outcome,
Positive
or
business.
positive healthcare outcome,
Ah,
or positive security outcome.
and any particular reason why it was energy management and sustainability that you chose as a path?
It chose me.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
it was just a couple of years ago when an old colleague called me and asked me to look at his data. And he had taken his home during COVID and had taken his home and made it completely carbon neutral. So
Mm-hmm.
he has EV cars, he has wall batteries, he
Mm-hmm.
has solar, and
Wow.
he lives in Arizona, so
Uh-huh.
the electricity is extremely high,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me to take a look at the data and said, "What do you think?"
Mm-hmm.
7 hours of data crunching later, I was hooked. And
Oh,
he
wow.
introduced me to a corporation
That's
CEO,
it. Hmm.
uh, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. I love that. And of course, my imagination now is what you're telling me is like, I mean, that's everyone's dream. To me, it's like, that's like a dream, having like a fully a clean energy source, a sustainable house, all of it, everything EV and all your electricity. But even better now is you're saying that you can use AI to drive solutions for that. And that part is fascinating. Dr. Celeste, you mentioned, of course, the Choir Corporation as well. The choirpower.com is the website. It's quite to not confuse our audience and listeners out there, Choir Power. Explain to us that a little bit, and why is it called Choir Power?
Because we orchestrate
That's
solutions
it. Hmm.
and we orchestrate our partners to
Hmm.
provide those solutions.
Fantastic. Choirpower.com. Of course, my question now, Dr. Celeste, if managing the future of AI and sustainability was like conducting an orchestra, you harmonize them. What instruments right now would you prioritize, or would you tell our audience and listeners right now? What would you tell us to prioritize, or to your clients, the corporations that you? What instruments would you prioritize, metaphorically or literally, to create harmony in the world of technology and energy?
Well, that's a great question. It depends on how much money you have.
Of course.
If you want to make a little dent,
Hmm.
change out your light bulbs to
Okay.
be LED.
All right.
And that's one of the simplest, cheapest things that you can do. Another thing that you can do is have curtains that are reflective of
Mm,
the sun and dark shaded uh, curtains, as well as anything that would reflect the heat. Again, something cheap that you can do. More expensive, of course, are things like EV cars or even solar panels. Now, here in my home in Lubbock, Texas,
mhm.
we have a lot of sun, but I have a tile roof. So
Interesting.
uh, while solar is great, I
Mhm.
don't want to ruin my roof.
Of course, of course.
So I'm choosing to put my solar out on the one of our back 40 areas that we have. And it's not small
Mhm.
to invest in these changes
It's pretty big.
to make a big difference. But to
Hmm.
make a little difference,
So
all of us
possible.
together can
Hmm.
make a little bit of difference.
I
Let
love
me
that.
give you an example.
Please, please talk.
One of the things that we do is this gentleman's house that
Hmm.
I referred to. He got up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and went
Hmm.
into his kitchen, and he saw on his uh, application that the energy was being drained, literally, just very, very high energy.
Huh.
The only thing in his kitchen
Uh-huh.
that was on wasn't the oven, which you would think would be high. It was the LED lights. And I
LED. So
put
you did air quotes there.
LED
Okay,
lights.
what happened there? Okay.
Yes, the
Uh-huh.
LED were not LED. So
Oh
it's
no.
really important to know what you're buying. But
Wow.
it can make a difference
Hmm.
to just help as much as we can help our grandchildren, our grandchildren's children maintain the earth at the
Yeah.
rate we're going. We
Hmm.
all have to do something. If it's as small as LED or buying an EV car,
Hmm.
then do what you can.
It's the most immediate crisis right now that we need to be facing. Dr.
It
Celeste,
is.
I really want to get into that sustainability part of it, of course, and the net zero future that we were talking about. But I wanted to ask that one real quick. You talked about reflective heat curtains. What does that necessarily do? It faces away from you, it faces towards outside your window. Wouldn't you reflect the heat out back to your neighbors, reflect the light back to them? What does it do for our audience and listeners?
It takes the very hot summer heat and reflects
Hmm.
it out from your house, as
Right.
opposed to leaving the curtains open.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from a long time of living in Alaska, where during the 24-hour daylight,
Hmm.
we would have to put foil up on our windows to keep the
Right.
light out. I grew up fairly poor, so we didn't have the dark out curtains.
Right.
But eventually you can have dark out curtains and also place something on your window to reflect the heat.
Okay.
So I don't even know if they still put foils on their windows in Alaska. But I know we didn't have the money to do
Right,
anything
right.
more than just foil. But
Okay,
I
that
found
is
that the heat didn't come into the house at
interesting
all.
at all. Wow, very interesting. Wow, we should probably employ even at 38-degree heats. That is quite interesting if that would work as well in this kind of weather. Wow, this is blowing my mind. I would definitely, look into doing that for our own household as well. I'm glad that you said these things, Dr. Celeste, because again, a lot of these things are things that may not occur to us every day, but we know we are putting those little efforts, those little actions, those little changes might go a long way when it comes to the sustainable future. Dr. Celeste, this leads us back to our question earlier. What is a net zero future, a decarbonized future? Of course, we were talking about better future for our grandchildren, the climate change being the most immediate crisis that we need to deal with. How are you seeing a net zero future transitioning into that? And apart from the advice that you gave us today, what is Choir Power and the corporation doing today to achieve a more sustainable net zero future?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned, the which instrument you would
Hmm.
play, because our software is known as Maestro. And
Right.
our Maestro product is a platform of scalable AI solutions from disparate energy sources
Hmm.
that enables customers to diagnose and predict their energy usage
Wow.
and respond to those recommendations to proactively manage their costs.
Mm,
Now, what does that really mean? Let me ask you a question,
please.
Joshua.
Hmm.
When you get your electric bill, you get your electric bill,
Hmm.
what can you do about it?
I pretty much just pay my electric bill.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Me too.
Yes.
Aren't you tired of it?
Oh, of course. Oh, yes. I would love to not pay electricity bills for the rest of my life.
Yes. Try living in Arizona in
Oh, goodness.
122-degree heat Fahrenheit. It was horrible.
Hmm.
So our solution is to be able to put the control and the management the of that bill in your
Hmm.
hands, and not so much, well, I shouldn't say the bill,
Hmm.
the usage of
Cost.
your
That's
electricity,
it. Hmm.
right? To
Hmm.
proactively do it.
Right.
So it would be nice, and one of the things that we utilize as an example is it would be nice to be able to uh, have my app tell me
Hmm.
you're running your dryer at
Hmm.
2 p.m. in the afternoon. It is the highest tariff or the highest cost, and it's costing you $12.14 more
Very
than
interesting.
if
Running
you
it in the
did it
morning
on Saturday
and
or if you did
Saturday.
it after 10 p.m. at night.
Ah, interesting. That is
And so
very
what we
cool.
want to do is put those recommendations
Hmm.
in the hands of, first of all, building maintenance,
Hmm.
and second of all, uh, the built economy,
Hmm.
including consumers later on, but
Hmm.
to be able to proactively manage and be forewarned
Hmm.
and prescribed what we need to do differently
Yes.
to achieve better cost management.
Better
And with
costs.
that, at the end of that, you
Hmm.
should show net uh, carbon if you have put into place the the corrections
Hmm.
that we recommend at from low cost to high cost. And those recommendations can also be very reflective of your tariffs. So,
That's it.
for example, your tariffs are probably less than mine
Hmm.
here in Texas.
Hmm.
But whoa, that must be God talking to me.
Was there a little energy surge there?
Just an energy
Right.
thunderclap, and
Uh-huh.
our electricity just
Wow.
flickered on and
Speaking
off.
of, my
That is
goodness.
weird. That
Does
that has
that
never
happen
happened
often?
before.
Oh, wow.
That
Interesting.
wow, wow.
Very
Okay,
interesting. Right in the
I'm
middle of the
impressed,
topic,
Josh.
too.
How did you do that, Joshua?
It's a little orchestration on my side, Dr. Celeste.
Well, I want to be able to be told or recommended. I shouldn't say
Yes,
told.
of
I
course.
want to be
Mhm.
recommended that I do something differently
Yes.
to
Hmm.
help.
Exactly.
Because when I do something, honestly, I don't think about my bill. I just pay it at the end of the month, and it gets tiring.
Yes, it gets tiring. First of all, Dr. Celeste, real quick, will that show up on the Maestro? That little surge that happened just
Yes, it
now?
will.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, that's very interesting. That is one of the coolest things I have ever heard. And Maestro, I'm glad that this is first for building maintenance, for corporations, for companies, but can it be available? Is it available for homes as well?
it is not available for homes yet, but
Interesting.
we are utilizing our research for homes at this point,
Mm-hmm,
and we are targeting airports and
mm-hmm.
uh, healthcare sites, and particularly for the disadvantaged.
Yes, of
And
course.
the reason we're doing that is because they have energy poverty.
That's it.
And
Mm-hmm,
without being able to pay their bill, they don't get electricity and maybe they don't eat. So we want to make sure
mm-hmm,
that they're able to have an electric bill that is manageable and
mm-hmm.
that they feel control over it. And you shouldn't have to decide, Joshua, between paying your electric bill or eating.
Yes, exactly. That is the future that we do not want to have. We're trying to, yes, we're talking about a net zero future, but we're also talking about more of a sustainable one where we don't have to choose between the two necessities basically, right? It's very cool. Of course, Dr. Celeste, again, like I said, companies and corporations probably majorly contribute to the climate change, and having solutions like Maestro and the solutions that you provide at Choir Power is very cool, and we'd love to know more. We're quite this excites me, and I'm pretty sure that it excites our audience and listeners out there. The website, of course, is choirpower.com. Dr. Celeste, where else can we find you? Where else can we learn more? We'd love
You can
to keep in
always reach
touch.
me at celeste@choirpower.com, or
Hmm.
you can find me on LinkedIn, look just like this. And the picture behind me is a rockhopper penguin who has the same hairdo.
Wow. I did, I didn't I didn't even notice that, but now that you pointed out, it's quite cool. It's very cool. Any any particular reason? I was gonna ask, by the way, why the penguin, but you explained it there real quick. Dr. Celeste, is very cool to have met you and what you do at Choir Power, and it's just very interesting. It's just I can feel the passion, and of course, I wanted to congratulate you once again for being inducted into the Engineering Hall of Fame. Dr. Celeste,
Thank
I
you.
would love to give this opportunity to you. Where else? What one last bit of wisdom you would love to leave behind the audience? What would it be? Take us home.
Oh gosh. Um, the one I put in the email to you is probably totally off topic.
What would that be?
Please go get a mammogram.
That's okay. Yes.
Every
Of course.
woman, talk to your sister, talk to your mother, talk to your aunt. Every woman should have a mammogram. It saved my life.
Wow. Wow, Dr. Celeste. Of course, I wish you the best in your health, but of course also to our audience and listeners, you are wishing them the same. I wish we got had more time to dive deep into that. Maybe we could do this another time.
I'd love to.
Fantastic, Dr. Celeste. Thank you so much for being on the show. To our audience and listeners out there, thank you for watching the episode, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing, we try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.